welcome back to my channel Joy in Life. This is Doris from Silos Art and Design, and today I'm going to do a long deal video on gelato, not just reveal but also talking a little bit about the techniques. I personally like it a lot, and let me show you first how I organize them. So this is a bag that I use to organize all of them, and I don't know, like there was one that I was playing with and it's out here, but I have this little container for a lot of them, and I'm going to pick some of the colors here today to demonstrate. And then I have this big set from a friend who gave to me years ago, and is how I got into playing with gelatos, and this is really cool as well. This set is the 28 sets, and you can mix them, and there was this was supposed to be here. I just took it out to fill with some water to demonstrate for today, and it's really cool, it's really organized, and I usually don't use it, but it's really good to use like together as well. And I will use the sponge as well. I just changed to a new one because the old one that came with the set was a little bit too old and it's shattered. So I took it out and replaced that. So I'm going to put this away. So how I get to have so many of them, because sometimes I see them on sale at stores or whatever. Sometimes they have the whole set, and it at really inexpensive prices, and I know that some of the colors I don't have yet, and so I just got them there. And they usually come with different things. So for example, today I'm going to use 2 of the stencils that I get from one of the sets, and that one I think my husband got it for me, and is for Bible journaling. And those are some of the templates that came with it, like the stencils that came with it. So I'm going to first pick out some colors that will probably go well together, and I'll just use randomly like a few colors. And yeah, okay, so oops. I'm going to teach you 8 different techniques today, and at the same time I will give you my review on it, like how do I feel about it, do I like it, do I not like it. So I'm going to put those away, and we can start. So the first thing I'm going to show you is a really easy technique. You can use them for many surfaces, including paper, fabric, canvas, and wood. And it's like a lipstick, as you can see, and inside is really creamy, and it's really smooth. And usually when I do Bible journaling with it or other things with it, it doesn't really transfer to the next page, which is really cool. So today I'm going to show you first. The first technique will be edging. So this is really a bookmark that I put together, and what I can do with it, because you know it's white here and it doesn't look as good, right? So I can simply just use my gelato and go through it. So that will look good, right? And usually I like to etch things just because when I'm having a card or whatever, it sometimes feels more complete. Like this one, right? If it's all white, it may be really boring, but I can totally like add something to the background. So I will talk about the second technique. So this is watercolor. So I'm going to simply use my brush with some water, and I will put some kind of background color at the it is the slow cone, maybe it doesn't show as much. So I just use it on some kind of surfaces. This is on one of the sets that I unboxed with you guys. They have this watercolor sets, and this is the plate that I can use with watercolor. So for example, if I use this, and put it on, you can see the brew much better, right? So I can totally do that, and I'm going to continue to do it so that you can see the finished product of it. And for it can be used both dry and wet, and so if you want to, you can actually use it wet when you are edging. And I was teaching you the really lazy kind of way is just to go around it, right? That is easy and quick. But if you want it to look smoother, or if you want it to look better instead, or you don't want to use as much gelato, because if you just do it that way, it will be wasting a little bit of it, not too much, but a little bit of it. And don't forget, if you are using it on watercolor painting like this one, it's watercolor on the back, right? So if you apply water to it, it will reactivate. So you should avoid the areas. I didn't avoid the line because it was too much work and I was talking to you guys, but just remember that, you know, that won't be a good idea. So you can see that I can, you know, mix the color, and I can actually mix a few colors just like any kind of watercolor. I can actually add more different color on it, but I'm not going to demonstrate here. But you know that it can be used as watercolor, and you can actually paint with it. This color is really light. It's called snow cone, so it's supposed to be a really, really light blue. But if you use something like this, it's a little bit darker. And all three of these are like really bright ones, and this is called bubble gum. And if I apply it maybe at the back, you can see. So you don't expect to have like a really, really saturated color. I would say you can achieve that by applying more gelatos, but you don't want to do it in a way, because if you want that kind of result, you are not using this technique. So this is the watercolor one, and if you really want to use it really as watercolor, like to paint those leaves, right, then you will have to use a lot more. Okay, so that is the second technique. And 3, I would say to use it as a background color, especially when you are doing something like Bible journaling, or just I have a piece of paper here, I want to stamp on it, I want it to be a little card for someone. So what you can do is you can actually use the gelato. I'm going to use another color, but you can use your finger. You can use napkins, wipes, paper towels, sponge, all that to blend. So I'm going to try it so that you can see how I blend with them. So I'm going to use some really bold colors, for example, and especially the set that I was using was a little bit darker, because that is supposed to be darker, like that color. And if you see, this one is pretty dark, right? So if you use this kind of color as the watercolor base, that will be much easier. But there are sets like this one that is more transparent on the tube. You know, those are not as saturated. Those are for like different kind of techniques for you to use. So for example, this one. So let's say if I'm using those 3 colors, right, I can blend it with my finger. So I'm going to blend half of it with just my finger, and you can see. And I have the King Art set as well. That is not really gelato, but that is like a crayon kind of thing. And I was thinking, oh, you know, will I be saving money if I use that for Bible journaling instead? But it doesn't work as well, not nearly as well. So this is really a good set. But that one is really affordable too. Like if you just begin and you want to try something, not necessarily gelato, just want to have some kind of color on your pages, then you can try that. I'm going to use water to blend it so you can see the different effects when I'm blending it. You see how different it looks. So those are like two of the ways that we do that. And you can use paper towel, you can use a sponge, which I say I'm going to use, so I'm going to try that for you. So I'll use the sponge without water first, and you can see you can still blend it pretty well, and you can probably blend two colors together as well, but not as good as when you are using water. So let me try it here. So you see how it melts right away, and that is really cool. And if you mix them together, you can see the kind of like purplish color in the middle of it, right? So that is using the sponge. And then you can also use baby wipes. So especially for parents, like, oh, your baby no longer use baby wipes, you know, when they are at that age that they don't use a diaper anymore, or you feel like you're not using the baby wipe, you can use it on your gelatos as well. So this I cannot show you the dry effect because this is wet, right? Because this is baby wipe, but I can show you how to do it. And this is my favorite because it's so easy to use. And sometimes when I don't have baby wipes available, I will just use paper towel and water. So either way you will get really good effects. And when I use paper towel or paper towels, I don't throw them out because, as you can see, they mix really interesting colors and stuff, and I do mix media as well. So what I do is I save them and then I'll use them on my projects. So it's really a lot of ways of using this without wasting them. Okay, so that is the third technique, that is like using it with blending it as the background color. So I can totally like keep doing it and finish the background. This doesn't look like extra good or whatever, but I'm just showing you how to do it. Okay, and the fourth technique is using it with stencil. So I'm going to get a pack of so-called watercolor paper. I'm not going to name names because like this is really no good. However, you can still find ways to use them. I usually like the watercolor paper with a little bit more texture, and you can feel it like when you're like, this is really thin and it's not really watercolor paper to me, but I get it with other things, so like it's a set kind of thing, so it is okay. But I'm going to show you how to use it with stencils. So there are a couple of ways for us to use it with stencil. So I'm going to simply use this one, and then you can either just simply apply the color right on top. So for example, for this one, maybe I won't use this color, I'll use another color. I'm trying to see what color is easier for you guys to see. Let's say if I use this shocking purple, shocking pink kind of thing. Let's see, like you can use it on top like that. And I usually do not do that, and I don't recommend it for smaller area, but for big area you can definitely do it, like it's easier, right? So I'm going to try this one for you to see how easy I can lay down the color. So that is really easy and really quick thing to do. Of course, like if you want to use a stamp, you can use that too, and we are going to talk about that as well in a minute. So you can do it this way, or I'm going to use another color so you can get the contrast. Let me use the red that we used before. So I'm going to put some there, add some water, dilute it, and then use a pink brush to brush it on. Oh, I can definitely like use their own water brush as well. I forgot about that. I took it out to be used, but I forgot about them. Okay. So this is another technique that you can use, and if you see that, you know, there are some areas not covered, you can use water to move them around. Although you you should probably clean your brush first. I didn't. I'm being lazy here. Yeah, I was going to upload this or do this tutorial a little bit sooner this week, but then I was not feeling well, so I could only do it today. I was like, I want to do it, let me get better already. So I'm finally feeling better today and could do this. Ta-da! You see how good it looks? And you can, when you are using it directly on top, it almost like gives you that effect where like it's thicker in some areas, thinner in other areas, and it's really artistic instead of like just watercolor. Because watercolor, I feel like you can use anything to achieve that. You don't have to use gelato. So I definitely like want to use it as a way to build some texture. So you can use like both ways. Okay, so that is the third technique for using stencil. But I'm going to teach you also how to build some texture into it. So for example, if I want to put another one here, but I want it to like stand out a little bit more, like up a little bit more, what I can do is I can actually get texture paste. This is like fiber paste, and I do have texture paste, but I couldn't find it now, so I'll use it for now. Or the fifth technique will be using gesso, so you can use both of them. So let me show you how to do it here. If I've used them already, but you know, you can always mix different kind of color. You can use acrylic, you can use a lot of different mediums, but I think it is still good to use gelato because it's so easy to mix, and you will see. So you get a little bit of this. I'm going to use this palette that I made myself, and if you haven't seen the tutorial, I'm going to link it. It's only like $3 that I can make this, so that is really amazing and I like it. So I'm not using a lot of that because I know that I won't be able to finish, and I don't want to waste material. So I'm going to pick a color, and I'm going to pick the same color so you can see the difference between the two, and I'm going to just get a little bit like that. Okay, and then you can mix them. So depending on what color you use, because you know some of the color you is pretty powerful, like the blue and the red that I showed you before, right? And this one is not as powerful, and so you can use a little bit more, just like what I did. So you can just do this, mix it up really well, and apply. So I don't want this to be a super long video, so I'm trying to do it as quickly as possible, but yeah. Okay, so let me actually try the other butterfly. Okay, so you can simply put that on there. And don't forget, like this is just like a paper stencil, right? So the paper stencil, the paper is of course like not as thick as some of the plastic ones or like other type of stencil, but you can still use it. And I would recommend that when you are doing this type of things, be really careful because you don't want to move your stencil. So if you are not lazy like me, you should probably like put a piece of tape to tape it down, right? And maybe not to talk while you're doing it, or you may move it without knowing. So let's see the effect. Ta-da! You see how it actually looks very different. Although like this, you see a little bit of texture on the top. You see that there is like a little bit bumpy or a little bit of texture on the side of this. This is totally like really even color, and yet it's really you can see the texture. I don't know if I can show it to you this way. I don't know if you can see it, but it's raised up a little bit. So that is a really cool effect that I sometimes use with my mixed medias, because I feel like that is really really a cool thing to do, and it's really easy to do. You see me doing it in a few just seconds almost. So I'm going to try my gesso as well. So I'm going to clean my palette light first, and then get some gessos onto my palette, which is off camera, and I'm aware of that. And don't worry, I will be coming back to you. So here, so for this one, I am going to use a different color so that you can see a little bit of different things here. So I'm going to use this, and I'm going to just get a little bit of it. So I'll mix it. Probably not enough, and you can always come back and get more. But sometimes I am being frugal and I'm trying not to use too much until I really need to. Like here I can see a little bit, right? So you know that, oh okay, so the color is going in there, so I'll mix a little bit more to see if I need more color before I put more in. Because you can always add color, but it's really like if you're adding color and adding gesso and adding color and adding gesso, like that is not going to be good, right? So I think this is a pretty good color. Maybe I'll add a little bit so that it would be easier for you on the camera. So the gelato is very a good material because it's so easy to store, and because you know it's so small, and yet there's a lot of pigment in here that you can use on many different projects. So if you're on the go, or if you always travel, or if you know you go to different places to play with your friends and stuff, this will be a really good option. So I highly recommend them, and especially when they don't transfer to another page, and I think that is the really good thing. So I'm going to use gesso here, and maybe I'll overlapping my butterfly a little bit, and I'll put it with the letter. And you can see that you don't really need a lot at all. Like gesso is so easily spread, you don't need a lot to do anything. So again, the same thing, like if you want to make sure, you can tape it down if needed. So you see how quickly I'm doing this, right? So each technique is really quick. Ta-da! And make sure you don't do it like me, like I made a mess here, but it's still like, because it's gesso, it's really easy for you to make something out of it. Can just wipe it, make it bigger, and make more mess like I did. Or you can, you know, have another word here or something, you know, because it's when it's mixed media, it's really a lot of freedom. So I really like it. And you can see that, you know, again, it's raised up a little bit. It's not as cool as the texture paste or the fabric paste, because this is really solid, and this one is more liquidy, and you see that the edge won't be as clear. But yet, if you don't have texture paste at home, I think gesso is more common, and you can definitely use that. Okay, so that is the 5th technique, and the 6th one is using it with gel plain. So I'm going to take this page out. I'm going to do another page with the gel plain, and I have this here. So do I recommend them? Yes and no. I love them, like don't get me wrong, like I love it because it's so easy to use. And I should have put this in between. Oh no. Okay, so it's not okay, I can still use it. Ooh. That was scary, because this is really quite expensive, I would say. So sometimes I feel like you know, I struggle quite a bit before I get them. Like I don't know if I should or should not get it, and eventually I did when it was on sale. But you can do some of this effect with a plastic, like like wrapping paper, or like some like I shouldn't say wrapping paper, wrapping package that you have when you get things, you know, that's the plastic thingy, like this type. You can use those as well for the base to use it. You don't have to have this, but it is not bad to use that. So I'm going to mix different colors on that randomly. I'm going to mix really random color, and I should probably use like darker colors because they will show better. And you see how hard it is, right, when I'm applying it dry. So I would usually spray some color afterward, and it will be really moving a lot more. So let me try different things here. Maybe I'll put some, I'm not about color coordination or whatever right now, okay? I'm just trying to find some colors that are more showing, so when I'm doing it, you can really see it on the page. So this is what I'm doing. So use different things here, and you don't even have to cover the whole thing. Like even if you feel like you don't want to cover the whole thing, that is okay too. And sometimes I use some white as well, especially if you're having like a darker surface, then I will use the white a little bit. And why do I want to use it even if I'm using it on a white paper? Because when you spray water, it may mix with that and it may get some interesting effects. And this one is very interesting. It's called Gold Champagne. So I think this is really a pretty color. So let me try it out to see if it's good. So what I'll do now is I'll spray some water. You see how it's activating, right? It's moving around a little bit. And then what I'll do is I will use a page, and usually I cut it to size beforehand. So let me just use like that. I just throw it in half and put it on, and then I use a brayer to go through my paper. Like there are two ways of doing it. You can move the gel print and move that and put it on top of your paper to do it, but I usually just do it this way. Look how pretty it is, and it can definitely like be the background for some of your projects. And even after you do this, I'm going to remove this for now. So even if you are done with this, you can still spray some water on top to make it still move around. So I know that this is not the best paper to do that, just because it's not as high quality, but you can see, you know, it can still blend in a little bit more. Like if, for example, here I see a little bit of more texture here. If I like the effect, that is cool. And that is, sometimes I like it because when you are using the gel print, that is what you want. You want the unexpected effect, right? You don't want it to be like so easy to tell what you're getting and all that. But if I really don't like this, for example, I can still move it around and mix it a little bit. So so this is a really fun project to use. Like Gelato is really fun medium to use, and the gel print is really fun project to do. But you can also try it with some kind of plastic. The effect won't be as good, but it still works somewhat, so I would recommend that. Okay, for stamping, I would recommend you using like bigger piece of stamp, so it's easier to transfer to a piece of paper. This may not be the best paper actually. I should probably be getting another one. Let me try this one to see if it will work. Okay, so I'm going to simply apply some color on there. And you can definitely like apply different colors, but to simplify it and to make this video not super long, I'm going to just try one color here and you can see the effect. So this is a really simple design and relatively big, and it's foam, so it's you can, ta-da! So that is pretty well, right, transferred. And how is different than using ink, because you see a little bit of course that can be from the foam as well, but you see the edges, you know, there are some places where you can see the texture a little bit more. So that is very interesting for using gelato. So overall, what I think about them, I like them a lot because I use them a lot, especially if I want to get really quick, lay down quick background. That is like almost like the best thing to use. I like to use them with stencils. Those are really cool, especially sometimes when I'm using them with the texture paste. You can use acrylic as well, but acrylic sometimes they give you a little bit of sheen after it dries, but this one won't. So I like that effect. I was going to try to use it with resistant gel for you to see as well, but I think I'll save it for the next video because this is getting a little bit long. So thank you so much for watching till the end, and I hope to see you next time. So please like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so, and for the ones who did, thank you so much for your support. And so I will see you next time. Bye.